I never thought the worst day of my life would happen under twinkling lights and rose petals. My name is Sarah, and for as long as I can remember, I lived in my younger sister Emma's shadow. She was the beautiful one, the charming one, the one everyone praised while I stood quietly in the corner, making sure the bills were paid, making sure Mom got to the hospital on time, making sure Emma had everything she needed to chase her dreams. I told myself that was love, that family was supposed to sacrifice. When Emma got engaged to Alexander, a man from one of the most respected families in the city, I was genuinely happy for her. I helped plan the wedding even though my heart was still healing from my own broken engagement 2 years earlier. I smiled through the fittings, stayed up late finalizing the guest list, and even lent her my grandmother's pearl necklace, the only valuable thing I owned. The wedding day arrived like a dream. The venue glowed with soft gold lighting. 300 guests whispered how perfect Emma looked in her designer gown. I wore a simple lavender dress I bought on sale, happy just to be part of the moment. Until the toasts began. Emma stood up with a glass of champagne in her hand, smiling that same sweet smile she used since we were kids. Right before she twisted the knife, she looked straight at me and said, "You know, some people spend their whole lives waiting for their moment, but it never comes. My big sister Sarah has always been there for me. Always the responsible one. Always the single one. I guess someone has to be the supporting character, right?" Laughter rippled through the room. A few people looked uncomfortable, but most joined in. My cheeks burned. I wanted the floor to open and swallow me whole. Emma wasn't done. "I love you, sis, but let's be honest, some of us are meant to shine, and some are meant to watch. Cheers to the supporting character." She raised her glass. The room clapped. My own mother looked away. I sat there frozen, tears stinging my eyes, feeling smaller than I had ever felt in my entire life. But what I didn't know was that the real story was only beginning. The humiliation didn't stop there. After the toast, guests came up to me with pitying smiles. "You're such a good sport," they said. "Emma's always been dramatic." I forced a smile until my face hurt. Emma found me later near the dessert table. She was glowing, champagne in hand, eyes sparkling with triumph. "Oh, come on, Sarah, it was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. You've always been jealous of me, haven't you? Even today you couldn't let me have the spotlight completely." Her words cut deeper than the public mockery, because deep down I realized something painful. She truly believed it. All these years of my sacrifices, my quiet support, my love, she had seen it as resentment, as competition. I walked away before I broke down completely. I found a quiet corner behind the venue, breathing in the cool night air, trying to hold myself together. My hands were shaking. For the first time, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of how invisible I had become in my own family. I remembered every late night I worked extra shifts so Emma could attend her fancy college. Every time I canceled my own plans because Mom needed help and Emma was too busy. I had given her everything, and today she repaid me by turning me into the family joke on the most important day of her life. The pain was so sharp it felt physical. I considered leaving. I even ordered a ride, but something made me stay. Maybe I needed closure. Maybe I was too broken to move. Meanwhile, the reception continued. The music swelled. Emma and Alexander danced their first dance as husband and wife, looking like the perfect couple. Everyone watched them with admiration. That's when Alexander did something no one expected. After the dance, he took the microphone. The room quieted. He looked calm, confident, and then he did something that made the entire hall fall silent. He turned toward my table, walked over slowly, and stopped right in front of me. Then in front of his new wife, his parents, and all 300 guests, Alexander bowed. A deep, respectful bow. And in a clear, steady voice that carried through the microphone, he said, "Mung." The word hung in the air like thunder. Emma's smile froze. The entire room went deathly quiet. Alexander straightened up and continued, his voice full of genuine emotion. "Most of you don't know this, but Sarah, ma'am, was my professor during my most difficult year. When my father was dying and I wanted to drop out of business school, she stayed after class for weeks. She mentored me, pushed me, and refused to let me give up. She told me that real strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing up even when no one claps for you. He turned slightly toward the guests. Everything I have built, the company, the stability I can now offer Emma, started because one woman refused to let a young man quit. She never asked for credit. She never asked for anything. Today, on the happiest day of my life, I want everyone to know who the real woman of strength in this family is. He bowed once more. Thank you, ma'am, for everything. The silence broke into thunderous applause. People stood up. Some wiped tears. My mother stared at me with wide, shocked eyes. Emma's face had gone completely pale. The perfect smile she wore all day had shattered. She tried to laugh it off, but the damage was done. The spotlight she had tried to keep for herself now shone directly on the sister she had just humiliated. Later that night, Emma found me again. This time there were no cameras, no audience. Her voice trembled. I didn't know. I looked at her for a long moment. The anger was still there, but something else had settled over it. Peace. I never did it for recognition, Emma. I did it because I loved you. But love shouldn't cost me my dignity. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. The truth had already spoken louder than any revenge I could have planned. Months later, things changed. Slowly, Emma began calling more often. She apologized, not perfectly, but sincerely. Alexander made sure I was included and respected in every family gathering. And for the first time, I started choosing myself. I traveled. I smiled more. I stopped shrinking so others could shine. The greatest revenge wasn't embarrassing my sister in return. It was discovering that kindness given quietly always finds its way back into the light. Sometimes justice doesn't come with screams or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it comes when a good man simply chooses to bow and speaks the truth everyone else tried to ignore. And in that moment, I finally understood. I was never the supporting character. I was the foundation. And foundations don't need applause. But when they finally receive it, the whole house feels the strength. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been overlooked, remember this. Your quiet strength is more powerful than their loud spotlight ever will be. Until next time, stay strong and never forget your worth.